Hello developers, are you ready to take your coding skills to the next level? In this video, we will be building the ChatGPT version 2 from scratch using the OpenAI. But this is not just any ordinary project. We will be creating an attractive and user-friendly interface using React.js function-based components and Tailwind CSS. And we will be using the Vue.js, which is an awesome front-end development tool, and 10 stack React query for data fetching. The surprises don't stop there. At the end of the video, we will show you how to deploy our ChatGPT on Vercel as a full stack application, so you can show your projects to other people and potential clients. Don't worry, if you are new to some of these technologies, we will be walking you through the process step by step in a beginner friendly manner. So grab your laptop and let's get started on building the ultimate search tool. So here we are in a blank VS Code directory. Okay, as you all know about what is the ChatGPT, if I visit its website, here you can see this this is the type of look which ChatGPT provides us. Here you can ask any question. Let's say I ask specifically for the programming, what is the use effect in React? Okay, now it answers me in some seconds. It depends on the workload on the ChatGPT. Okay, so this is the type of interface it's providing. So we are going to rebuild this application by using the APIs provided by the OpenAI, and yeah, we are going to make it more attractive in look. So how we are going to do this and how we will deploy this at the end of the project, this is a kind of interesting thing. So the only requirement for making this project is the Node.js. You should install the Node.js in your machines. Okay, so currently the LTS version is 18.13.0, and if I go to my PowerShell here, so you can look what I am using. I have to write node -v, and it is saying I am using node 18.10.0 version. So we are also going to use the Vue for this project. Here I am on the official website of Vue.js, which is a front-end tool, and just copy this command with npm. So yeah, go to our VS Code, open the terminal, and before actually writing this command, I want to make two folders here in the directory. The first one is the client folder, and then the second one is going to be the server side. Okay, now inside the client folder, we should make all these changes regarding the front end. So cd client, I should make the text bigger, something like this. Okay, so cd client, now I am in the client directory, and paste the command we copied from the Vue.js and hit the enter button. First of all, it is asking us for the project name. So let's say I am saying it as ChatGPT 2.0, and I also want to include the YouTube, but you can give any name you want, and the package name is yeah, the same one. Then select the React and JavaScript. We should simply write npm install, and it will install all the required app. But there is a problem, it gives error on npm install. Let's see why it's giving error here. Okay, so basically it makes an other folder inside the client one, so we have to fix this. I am making it reveal in file explorer. Here yeah, here you can see we have a server, then we have a client. So inside the client I have all these things. So I am making a cut from here and paste all these things right here. Now let's delete this empty folder, so we have our all the client code directly inside the client directory. Let's move to our VS Code here, and yeah, everything is good. Now inside the client we have the client side code. Open the terminal again and write npm install. Now it's installing all the required dependencies for making our initial template run. Let's wait for this. Okay, so here all the dependencies are now installed. To run this template, we have to write npm run dev, and it should start on our port number. Yeah, it's on this port 5173. We can simply press Ctrl and then click on this URL. It should open here. Here you can see it is running on our port number 5173 with this starter template of the Vue.js. The next thing that we require is to set up the Tailwind CSS for this project. So here in the search bar, I will write Tailwind CSS with Vite.js. Okay, so on the very first link here, I have all the commands to make this happen. Okay, first it is saying make a project. We already did these steps. Now, yeah, we should install here. We should start from here npm install Tailwind as a dev dependency. So just copy this command, go to our VS Code, make an other terminal here, and cd to client, and then paste the command. Let's hit the enter button. Here it's installing the Tailwind CSS, Post CSS, and Auto Prefixer. These three are the dev dependencies. Now let's move back to the website, and here make this command in our terminal. Just copy and paste and hit the enter button again. Okay, so it is also set up. Now let's see what it is saying at the next. Here it is saying we should go to Tailwind config. So just copy all this code from here, and in our directory search for the same file. So yeah, here it is. I am first of all deleting all the previous code here and pasting the new one. Let's save this according to the instruction of the website. And the next thing is we should search for the index.css and paste all these things. So yeah, go to the index.css, and we should remove all the previous code, and let's put this. Okay, let's save this. And the next thing is now we can try our Tailwind live. If I go to my local host, here you can see the styling is now distorted because we have removed the index.css code, but that's okay. To test our Tailwind, I am going to app.jsx and removing all these things. Here I am making a div with the class name of padding, let's say 8. Okay, I wrote the 4. Here padding should be 8. Color should be, let's say, red 500, and here it says subscribe Zen keeps code. Okay, let's make the text bigger. Let's save this and go to our local host. Okay, here it is saying subscribe to Zen keeps code, but the classes are not applied here. So let's see why the Tailwind is still not working. If I try a very simple thing, which is stopping our server here and then running it again by writing npm run dev and hope for the best now. Okay, yeah, so now the Tailwind is applied. It's just the restarting of our local server, and everything is set up now. Now we have to clean our directory, which comes with some pre-template of the Vite.js. So for this, first of all, I am removing this use state from here, then remove this logo and also this import statement of use state. Now let's go to index.css. We already deleted the code from here, and inside the main.jsx, okay, I think everything is good here, nothing too much special. And inside the assets we have this one, so I can easily delete the assets. And finally, inside the app.css, I should also delete all the thing that lies here. Okay, if I check my browser now, so yeah, nothing is broken, but the styling is no more here. We are only having the padding and the text color, which we described in the Tailwind CSS classes. On the final step, go to the index.html, and here instead of our Vite plus React, I am saying ChatGPT 2.0 as the title of our website. And yeah, we are good to go with this. Let's actually start building our tool. So I'm going to app.jsx, and here remove all these things and start from the very basic thing. So first of all, we have a parent div, and inside the parent div we will have three main parts. So I'm making comments. The first one is header, so make a div for the header now. And with the div I should also write some text inside the div. And in the second step we have the body, so div which is saying body, and the last thing is the input, where we can write any query and we can ask ChatGPT. So we can say it as only input, and here div, inside the div say it as input. Okay, let's save this. And yeah, here I have all these three things: header, body, and input. Note that as my display is too much huge, so I am making it as zoom into 400% just to make it visible. But of course, we are not keeping this for long, and I should make it side by side. Let's style the most parent div first. So here I am going to give it some class names, and these class names are on the basis of our Tailwind utility classes. By the way, if at any point you find yourself lost and you do not know what is the relative utility class in the Tailwind CSS for a specific CSS, then what you can do, you just have to go to Tailwind CSS official website, hit the control plus K, and you can search anything. Like I search for a lot of CSS properties like text overflow. Just click on this and it will give you the explanation how you can convert the overflow hidden into a relative Tailwind class, which is the truncate. So now let's style the most penalty. First of all, I am giving it a background color, and to give any custom value in the Tailwind, what you can do, you can make the scare braces and write your custom value. Like I gave it a color of this value, and then I am giving it a height of full screen. And I am also using an extension which is a very cool extension here. If I search for the Tailwind CSS, here you can see that I am using this extension. What it essentially do, it give you the explanation of each utility class. Like I have used this utility class at screen from the Tailwind CSS. Now if I hover on this, it is giving me the explanation what at screen do. It do height as the 100% of our view height. Okay, so similarly, if I hover on this, now it is saying it will give you your background color a property like this. And for more, what it do, it will give you suggestions while writing the Tailwind. Like I py, and now it is giving the suggestions for py0, py1, and it also giving me the explanation what they do. Okay, so I am giving the vertical direction padding of value 6 with the position relative, and on the small screens I want to give the padding on the x-axis of value 28. Okay, now the text inside the app should be white with the overflow hidden. Okay, and then the display flex with the flex direction of column. Basically I am translating all the Tailwind utility classes in a pure CSS, so you should not be confused what I am writing, what is the meaning of all these things. When I wrote the flex, then I said it is display flex and this is the flex direction column. You will get use of all these classes once you start writing the Tailwind. Okay, the next thing is I am giving it justify between and then align middle. So what align middle do? Basically it will align all the items in the middle of screen. Why I am explaining this, it's too much self-explanatory. And I am also making our code wrap turned on, which can be done by Alt plus Z. So here our code is wrapped inside the view, so we don't have to scroll in the X direction again and again. Now if I save this, here you can see it has a very beautiful background. Next I am going to target the header of our application, which is ChatGPT 2.0. If I save this, yeah, and for our header I am giving some class names of uppercase with the font weight of bold. Yeah, save this. Okay, so text size should be changed, but before giving a specific text size, I should make my zoom value normal, which is 100%. Yeah, I know it's too much small for this screen, but if I make the text as double XL, now it is having a good weight and thickness. Okay, on the next I am making it as text center with the margin bottom of 3. Yeah, like this. Okay, there is another thing which is very attractive in our application is the background gradients, and still we have not made any gradient in our application. So let's first do the gradients before moving on. Above the header, I am going to make two divs, and I am also making comment of gradients here. Let's format the code. And for the first gradient, like this, I am giving it a class name of gradient01 with the z index of 0, so it should always behind anything else, and the position absolute, because our parent is position relative. Then I will position my gradients according to the parent div, so I am making it as position absolute. Similarly, I am just copying this and pasting it here, but instead of 01, here I am saying it as 02. Let's save this. Now I should define some properties for gradient01 and gradient02. So I am going to my index.css, and for the gradient01 I am making position absolute with the width of 200 pixel, height of 238 pixels, top it should be -6 rem, distance not the -6 rem, it should be 0, because the gradients should be on the top of the screen, with a very beautiful background color. So I am giving it a background value of this, but then I am applying a filter of blur, so it should not be a thick or solid div, it should be a blurry, or you can say gradient. So let's save this here, and yeah, here it is. Okay, I missed the spelling of blur. Now yeah, here you can see a very beautiful blur is applied on our application. Similarly, I am going to do for the gradient 2. So here for the gradient 2, what I will say, I will make a position absolute, width of 200 pixel, height of 238 pixels, and yeah, here I should give top of -6 rem with the right value of 0 pixels, because this gradient should be on the right side, not on the left side, because on the left side we already have the gradient 01. Okay, let's format the code. For the next, I again have to give it a background color, which is something like this, with the filter of blur, and I am giving it 190 pixels. Let's save this, and yeah, here I have the second blur in my application. Let's get back to the app.jsx here, and now we should start code our body component. For making the body component, I am opening my directory here, and inside the src I am making a folder with the name components, as we are going to use functional components of the React, and here I am making body.jsx. Okay, here you should write RAFCE for a quick React fat arrow function. Let's save this, and inside the app.jsx, here inside the body I should call this function chat body. Yeah, let's save this, and here I am seeing a disruption that I have already specified the justify between, but still my body of application is not correctly in column. Okay, so there is a problem here. I have misspelled the justify spelling. Sorry for this mistake. Yeah, now the three components are in their respective positions. There should be the chat body and there should be the chat input, and currently we are working on the chat body. Okay, so inside the chat body I am removing this pre-text, and here I am making a div with the class name of flex, and also the flex direction should be column, because of course in the body there should be messages and all messages should be in column direction, with the gap between the relative messages, or you can say the gap between the messages should be 4. Let's save this. Now let's make some dummy messages inside our body. I am making dummy messages just to make you understand how the code is going to work, because for now we are just building the structure, we are not making anything dynamic for now. We are going to have two entities in our application. The one is client and the other one is the AI, which is going to give you the answers of every question. So first make a message for the client. Here I am making another div, and for this div I am making pre-tag nodes, that whatever you are going to write inside its body, it will have the escape characters. So instead of writing the escape characters directly on the screen, like if I write here \n without the pre-tag, then it will be displayed as it is. But if I write inside the pre-tag, then pre-tag knows, okay, \n does the next line functionality. So this is basically the pre-tag, and it's built in the HTML. I am explaining this because most of the people do not know this. Okay, so inside the pre-tag I am making a span, and here say hi chat GPT, and can you help me, like this one. Here we have our client message, and then here will be the AI response. And for the AI response, again I am using the same format. I can help you with anything. Okay, so here we have the two messages, one from the the client one, and the other one is the AI. Let's style them. For the client one, here I am writing the class name. It will have a border of something like this. Yeah, yeah. It will have border like this. Then the break words. So break words make the overflow wrap as the break word with the border of 2. Okay, make the word wrap on. Then the rounded XL, it will give it a border radius. Self end, so it will align itself at the end of the flex box with the padding x of 3, and the maximum width that it can take on the screen is the 80% of the total parent container. Let's save this, and here we have our first message, and here we have some styling applied on the client message. Okay, I believe it should also have some padding on the y direction also. So padding y3. Also for the pre-tag, here I am making a class name with the white spaces pre-wrap like this. Now let's get to the AI message response, and here what I will do, I will give all the same class names here. So class names, I am just copying all these class names, pasting them here, but I am making them inside backticks rather than the simple. So for using the backticks, we should wrap them inside the curly braces. Okay, if I save this, here you can see both have the same stylings, which should not be the case. To make it different, on the very top here I am making a constant AI style. I will say its background should be white, and the background opacity is going to be the 40 with the backdrop color. So sorry, the backdrop color, not the color. So backdrop color is large with the drop shadow MD. Okay, now I should concatenate our class names with the AI style for the AI message. So here within the dollar sign, and then paste this, and here we have. But still there is a problem that our this message should be on the left side, not on the right side. So to achieve this, I'm making a very tricky thing, just making the margin right, auto, and boom, our requirement is completed now. Now I am again going to app.jsx, and for the wrapper of our chat body, here I will give some styling. First of all, I will say it should have the height of 90%. Okay, and then our flow auto width should be full with the maximum width that it can take is the 4XL, and then the minimum width that it can take, it should be 20 rem like this, and the padding on the y direction should be 8. The self center, if I save this, but I am seeing a very huge problem here is that our text is not looking good, and there should also be some distance on the x-axis. So for that thing, after the py, here I'm saying the px should be 4. Let's save this. Yeah, now it's looking good. So let's fix the font for our application. I am going to index.html here, And after this meta tag, and basically before the title, here I'm making a comment importing not the title, but just say importing fonts for the chat GPT. Yeah, and here I am pasting some links. So I will provide all these links and all the required assets for this application via downloadable link. You can simply download all the assets and all these links just by pressing the link, and they will be downloaded to your machine. So if I save this here, of course I have to change my CSS, so it should apply these fonts instead of the regular one. So here inside the app.css I have nothing, and I believe that we are having app.css without any reason, so we can simply delete the app.css, and we should also remove its reference from here, so it should not give any kind of error. Okay, and then go to the index.css, and on the very top I am saying for everything make the margin 0, padding 0, box sizing as the border box. These are basically the default styling that should be applied in your project, and font family should be something like this is the name of our font that we are going to use, and then the scroll behavior smooth. Let's save this, and yeah, our font is successfully applied in our application. How cool and how easily we are making progress in our application. So if you are liking this project and you are super pumped for completing this project, then please subscribe the channel right now. Give a thumb up for this video so I should feel motivated for the next projects. Now let's work on the last component of our structure, which is the input. So again, inside the app.jsx, here I should make a component first inside the component. So here I am making chat input dot gsx rafce for the fat arrow function. Save this here inside the app.jsx. Inside this div, say chat input. Okay, I am making like lot of typos here. Okay, here let's save this, and here it is saying chat input is there. Before going to the individual component, I should style the wrapping div. So for the class name, I am saying width should be full, and the maximum width should be 4xl, with the minimum width should be 20 rem. Yeah, and the self center. Let's save this. I know there should not be a lot of difference here. Yeah, go to the chat input, and instead of this pretext, here I am making a div. Inside the div I should have a text area and remove all these things. Okay, and it should be self closing like this one, and the last thing should be image. And for the image source, what I will say it as send.png. It lies in the public directory. Okay, so for now inside the public directory we have nothing. I am pasting an image here. I will provide the link in the description of the video. Of course you can find it easily on the internet, which is this image send.png for the button of our chat input. And with that said, I am also including a loader.gif. So this is basically our loader when the OpenAI is going to think for the response. So we will use this gif. Okay, let's close this one and also this. Now if I save, here you can see this is our text area and here is our button. It's time to style these things. So for the parent div, here in the class name I am saying the width should be 100%, means the full, with the background white and the background opacity, I think the opacity should be 10, with the maximum height that it can achieve should be 40, rounded large, padding in the x direction 4, padding in the y direction should be 4. Yeah, let's save this. I want to make overflow as auto and the position relative with the No, I should not play with the scale for now. Okay, yeah, let's save this. And I have a scroll bar here. Okay, let's go to the styling of our text area. I am making, first of all, its border 0. Basically the boundary of our text area should be invisible. It should behave that our this classy div is the text area. So for achieving all these things, I am making background transparent and also moving the outline. So whenever somewhere clicks on the text area, this outline should not come. Let's save this. Yeah, here you can see it's invisible. Then I am saying it should take the width 11 by 12. So 11 by 12 means 91% of the total div. So let's save this. Now it is taking 91% of total div. And for this image I am saying it as signed button for the alt attribute. And for the styling, its position should be absolute, and from top it should have a distance of 4. But the most irritating thing which is making it to look not a good image is the width. So here I am going to specify is width as the 20 pixels. So as soon as I save this, here you can see now it is having a proper size at least, but it is behind our text area. So I should make it position right 3. Now it is also in a proper direction. On hover, the cursor should be pointer, and it should follow the animation of ease in with the duration of 100. Why I am making all these animation properties? Because I want whenever someone hovers on this button, then it should scale up to 1 to 5. Okay, let's save this. Also I want to refresh my screen here, and here you can see if I am hovering on the button, it is actually scaling up. Of course our text area is not looking good in terms of its height, because it's too much height for the input, and also the button is looking not in the center. In the text area I am going to give a property of rows, and for the rows it should be only 1 by default. Now everything is in the center and it is actually looking good. But I am feeling that there should be some space between the screen border and the chat input, and same thing for the chat body. So inside the app.jsx, okay, here after the px for small screens I am saying a general value of ps16 for all the screen sizes. And yeah, now it is looking good, at least now distance from the border. But what if I make them switch? For the small screens it should be 16, and as a general it should be 28. Okay, it's not looking good. Okay, so this should not be the case. I should play with more values. Let's say 18 here. Not 18 is not applicable. The 16 is applicable and it's making too much. 14, 12. Yeah, I think it's looking good. And if I switch it to the big screens, yeah, it's also looking fine for the big screens. And for the small screens like this, for the mobile screen, it's also looking good here. So with the px12 for the normal screens and for the small screen px16, it's working fine. So our structure is completed. Here you can see we can type anything inside our chat input, and a scroller become enabled when there is a lot of input, you can see. And when you revisit the website, there is a very beautiful initial look. So it's time to implement the logic within our application. And before making any type of logic in the front end, first we should make the backend. So let's make the backend now. So I have closed all the files and now I am on the root directory. And let's open our terminal by pressing Ctrl plus J, and I am making another terminal here, and let's move it to the server directory. Okay, now I am inside the server. Here simply write npm init to initialize a package file, Yeah, the package name should be server, and just press enter for all the questions here. Okay, so now if I open this server here, you can see a package.json. Now I have to install some required dependencies. So write npm I. The first one is body parser, the second one is course.env, and express server with the nodemon to see the changes without restarting the server, and OpenAI. Hit the enter button. It is installing all the dependencies now. Okay, the dependencies are installed now. Let's close the terminal and go to package.json. Here inside the scripts, instead of doing this test command, we have to write a command start, and for the start command execute nodemon index.js. Yeah, as we don't have any index.js for now, so let's make one. Inside the server I am making index.js. Index.js is going to be starting point of our server. Let's save the package.json and now start the coding of our server side inside the index.js. So first step first, let's import all the required packages by writing imp. It is a shortcut of import statement. Hit enter button and I have to import the express server. So yeah, okay, by the way, as we are going to use these import statements, so we have to make a change in the package.json, and here I am writing the type of our app. So inside the double quotation it should be the type is module. Now we can use these import statements, otherwise we have to use the require statement, which is an old method to import the packages. The second thing is going to be the course from course. Okay, the third one is, let's see, the third one is body parser from the body parser. Yeah, the third one is going to be from .env. Only from .env import the env. Okay, and the last one is to import some packages from the OpenAI, and at the last we have to import some classes from the OpenAI. So import from OpenAI. The first one is configuration and then the OpenAI API. Yeah, so these are all the requirements for making our server. Now let's initialize the app by saying const app is equal to express, the default method to make a simple express server, and then env dot config. So the next one is app dot use. It should use the course method so that it should not raise the warnings of cross origin. Next thing we have to configure is, yeah, body parser dot json, and I should also make one. Now we have to specify a port for our server. So I will say app dot listen. It should listen on the port 3080, and then when it listens it should say a very simple thing, console log listening on port 3080. Yeah, like this. And to test the route, it's a kind of dummy route just to test our application. I will say on the default route there will be a request and there will be a response, and in the response just send the hello world. Okay, let's save this. It's time to finally start our server from the terminal. So open the terminal again, and here please be careful that I am in the server directory. Okay, here simply write npm start, and when I write npm start, as you remember in the package.json here, for the start script we have nodemon index.js, so it is going to start the index.js with the nodemon. So as I hit the enter button, here it is started and it is listening on the port 3080. Now we have to test it. So open the browser and localhost 3080, hit the enter button, and it is saying hello world, means our server is running fine now. Our next task is to make a post route on the backend, so we can actually ask questions on the post route and we will receive the response as we do on the original ChatGPT. So to make this route I have to go in my index.js JS, and here I am making an update.post route. But before making this post route, we have to fetch our API keys for integrating the OpenAI API. Okay, so to fetch the API keys, I am going to openai.com. Here you have the button for the API. Click on this and it will ask you for the login. So if you already have an account, then just simply go login. Otherwise you can do the sign up. So I am doing login here, and such interface will appear in front of you. To get your API key, click here on your profile button and then view API keys. Okay, and then here you can make a new API key. So basically I already have two API keys, but for this tutorial I am making a new one. And be careful, these API keys should be private for you, but for the sake of tutorial I am making them visible. But of course after the tutorial I will delete those API keys. So here I am creating a new one. Just copy this API key, click OK button, go to your directory here and just close all directories, and inside the server I am making a new file with the name .env. Inside the .env I am making a constant with the name API key, and this API key should be equal to our newly generated API key. Let's save this. Okay, so now it's time to embed this API key in the configuration of our post route. So before making any type of route, we have to set up this configuration object of our API. Before this app.listen, I want to configure my API. Here I will say const configuration is equal to new configuration, and inside this we have to pass an object as the parameter, and this parameter and the parameters are two. The first one is the organization. For the organization you again have to paste a key. So go to OpenAI and here in the settings you will find your organization ID. Just copy this and paste the ID here. Now for the second step, you have to paste your API key, as we have our API key in .env. So to import this we have to write process.env.api key. Okay, so our configuration object is ready now to use. Here I am making const OpenAI is equal to new OpenAI API configuration, and this configuration is this one. That means our account is fully connected to our server. Next task is to make the post route, and it will be better if I make comments here. Configure Open API, and then this is a simple dummy route here, listening, yeah, like this one. And this is a dummy route to test, and here post route for making requests. Cool. Start this by writing app.post as we usually do in our Node Express server, and then I have to make a async function, async, which is having request and response as the parameter. And then in the body I will fetch the message from the body. So message is equal to request.body, yeah, and then make a try catch block. And first of all also complete the syntax. I will console log the error in case of any error, and also response dot send error with the status code of 400, means your request is not able to be complete. And then in the try block we have to implement our logic for the response of this message we got from the client side. Okay, here I am saying const response is equal to await OpenAI dot. There is a method called create completion from the OpenAI, and in this method, yeah, here we have to pass some parameters. These parameters are basically the specifications, and first specification is the model we are going to use. So we are going to use most advanced model up to now. So this is Text DaVinci 003, which is the most trained model, and on this model the current GPT version is working. Then for the question we are asking, it should be the third one, should be the maximum tokens we can give in the answers. It is 100. It is basically the amount of words the model should give in the response of any question, and the maximum amount is 100. Now the temperature is zero point 0.5. By the way, you can learn about all these parameters. There are much more parameters, so you can read about anything in the documentation here. Scroll down to the API reference, and here in the introduction you can learn about any. Here you can see in the request body there is a prompt, model, suffix, max token, and there are many more things you can learn about them. Okay, now the final thing, we have to send this response. So response dot json should be equal to message response dot data. Actually in the response it is not providing us a single answer, it will provide us some choices from which we can select, and I'm going to select always the first choice dot value, and I should remove this thing. And remember, as we have imported the .env API key here inside the configuration, so we have to restart our server. So open the terminal. Here in the terminal press Ctrl C, yeah, and again start by writing npm start. Okay, our server is working fine. It's time to change our front end to send requests to the backend and then make the adequate changes on the front end as the response. Let's do this. Close the terminal, and I am closing all the files here. Let's go to client side again, and inside the src open the app.jsx. Okay, so here at the very start I am going to make a use state like this: const chat set chat. Basically this chat array is going to contain our all messages in a single array. So use state imported from React, and by default it is going to be an empty array, means in the initialization of our application there will be no message in our chat body. Then of course we have to provide all this chat to our chat body here. So I am saying chat is equal to chat, and before providing anything to chat body we have to insert something inside the array, so chat body can render that. To make this happen, we know that there are two sources of messages. First one is the text, the chat input, and the second one is the OpenAI response. So let's start with the chat input, where we will ask some questions. So go to the first save this and then go to the definition here. Okay, now in the chat input again I am going to make a use state. So const value is equal to set value, as this is a use state. So yeah, use state imported from React, and by default it is going to be an empty string. Now we are going to make text area as a controlled input. So I am saying the value should be equal to value, which is use state, and on change we have to change we have to control the change of our text area by a very legacy method, which is the event method. So pass the event as a prop, and then set value, yeah, e.target.value. So this is a very old method and we are still using it because we can rely on this method. Okay, now I also want to specify the type of our text here. So type should be text like this. Let's save this and let's see if there is anything breaking or not. Okay, so everything is good till yet. I should also make my front end side by side now, because we are not working with the backend anymore, and now it is much more visible. We don't have to switch windows again and again. Okay, now this image is serving as a button in our chat input here. So I'm going to make something here. The on click method, I will say handle submit. Okay, handle submit. By the way, now if I write anything inside text area, it is going to be stored in our value, which is a state. So on handle submit I have to define a function with this name, const handle submit a react arrow function, and as the initial step I will check the value. So I will say if the value is equal to null string, means empty string, then return and do nothing. However, if this is not the case, then send the message. So I will say send message as an object, where first is the identifier means from where the message is originated, as this message is originated from the user, not the AI. So I am saying sender is user, and then message is going to be the value of our chat input. And after sending the message, set value as the null or the empty string. Okay, we have to define this method send message in our app.jsx. So first I should receive this method send message here. Let's save this, and inside the app.js here, in the front of this name, I am writing send message as send message. Now let's define this function inside our app.jsx. So const this name with the fat react arrow function, and here I will wait until our state is updated with the newly inserted message. So for making this, I have to make this as async and receive the message in the message prop, and here say await promise dot resolve set chat, and then I'm taking previous value again as a prop, destructuring the previous value and adding the new message. So this is a very simple method to do. Let's save this. Okay, here is a problem. Handle submit, control C. Okay, this should be the send message, not the handle submit. I did a mistake here. Let's save it. Okay, everything fine. Now the chat body, as we declared, the chat body should render the messages from this chat array, and for now chat body is rendering messages as a static message. So if I go to chat body, we have to play with this logic here. So I am making all this thing in a comment, and here on the very top of our component I am receiving chat in a prop, and then let's remove this client message heading because I am rendering a logic here. I will say chat.map, and for each message along with its index return a function, and in the function I want to return everything that is this one. So control C, control V. Yeah, let's format the code again here and delete this thing from here. Inside the div I want to give it a key of I, so it will not raise the warning of not using unique key for each render. Okay, I should open the word wrap on, and here inside the span, instead of the default text, I will say message dot message. Let's save this. Now if I try to write anything in my text area, Zen is here, click on the send button. So our text area is cleared and message is inserted in the chat body. Of course, for now there is no animation, and on pressing the enter button, it is doing enter in the text area, it is not sending the message. So to fix this behavior, I have to write some logic in the chat input, and on the text area I am saying on key down, so it will check each keystroke, and then against each keystroke it will check if it will say e dot key code is equal to 13, which is the key code of 13. If this is the case and e dot shift key is not enabled, then do the handle submit instead of inserting a line in the text area. And why I said e dot shift key should be equal to false, because if user really wants to give a new line, then he should be able by writing this then shift enter is then shift enter here. So here you can see I am able to enter a line, new line, if I want by pressing shift enter. But if I don't want, like if I just write zen and press the enter button, okay, I have to save this first. Okay, so here if I write zen and press the enter button, here you can see. Now if I write anything and I can give a new line by the shift enter. So I think it is pretty much clear to you. Let's refresh your website. Okay, and again I am inserting a new message. I am zen here, but this is the case when the message is from the sender. But we also want when the message is coming from the AI, then it should start from the left side and the AI styling should be applied. So in the chat body, and here I am wrapping all the classes inside the backtick. So there is a backtick, there is a backtick, and then wrapping everything inside the curly braces like this. At the end of the styling, here I am writing a logic. I will say if message dot sender is equal to AI, then return the AI styles. Otherwise it will not run the AI style. So let's save this. Of course there will be no difference because for now we have no response from the AI sides. All the responses means all the chats are from our text area, like this is an other one here, and here you can see all are here. We should also remove all the comments from here. Let's save this and format the code by Shift Alt F again so it becomes more readable for you. Okay, it's time to write an API method for sending our messages to backend. So here in the structure in the src, I am making a file with the name api.js. Inside the api.js, I am writing a function export const fetch response is equal to, open the word wrap. In the prop I will give chat as a prop and make this function async. Okay, it's clear for you now. And then following this method I am making a try catch block here. First of all, for the catch block, if there is any error, then I am simply console log error like this. And in the try method I am saying const response should be equal to fetch, and we have to fetch from our port 3080 where the server is running. So I will say http and localhost 3080, which is the port of our server, and then the method should be equal to post because our route is expecting method as a post. Then the headers, I think you pretty much know what is this thing. This is the basic format of sending requests to backend. Okay, content type application JSON, and in the final thing there comes our body. So in the body, let's say json.stringify, because you know whenever we are sending requests to any server we have to send our data as a stringify JSON object. Okay, then in the message I am saying chat.map. Remember the chat is coming as a prop, so I am mapping all the messages here. So chat.map for each message dot message here, and then dot join for each message. I am joining them by a new line. Okay, you might be wonder why I am mapping through all the messages, why I'm sending all the messages. We can only give the message, like if I give a message here, I am Zen here, and then I give another message, this is an other one here. So this is another one here. So I should only send this message, not the whole body. But the logic is, as ChatGPT is able to remember the context of our chatting, so it will give you more accurate answers if we provided the whole array, means the whole log of our chat, instead of just giving you a single response. So it will give you a more nice experience for the end user if ChatGPT is able to remember the previous things and providing the information according to your context. Okay, now it's pretty much in the body of our fetch. At the end I am saying const data is equal to response dot json and then return data. Okay, so our api.js is completed. Now it's time to include a very cool tool which is named as 10 stack query. If I search on internet 10 stack react query, here you see all the details about this. It makes the process of tracking the loading state, the final state, and any pending state, and it also manages even the cache for you. So it manages all these interaction with the backend by itself. We don't have to write a lot of use states. So you will know about its benefits when I actually going to use it. So inside the app.jsx, here on the very top I am importing use mutation from the react query. So import from the React query. Okay, so what I have to import a hook which is called use mutation. But there is a problem because still we have not installed the React query. So first install this by Control J on the front end. Okay, let's make another terminal, cd to client side, and here write npm I React query. So React query is installed now. We can move on, close the terminal here, and we should switch to our application. Now the how to use the use mutation hook. After this use state on the top, I am making a mutation, and then using a use mutation hook, I am first of all writing a mutation function, and this function is basically going to be a React arrow function which is having nothing as a parameter, and on return it will give us the fetch response data from the API. Okay, and because our fetch response is expecting the chat as the input, if I go to api.js, here you can see we have to give chat as our input. So I am providing our use state chat, and then it will keep track of the state of our function, whether it is loading, whether it contains data, and we can use the states. Like I said, on success, here on success there should be some data, and with this data just console log the data in our terminal. And similarly we can also use the function on loading. I believe it is on fetching. No, it's okay. Yeah, there is not the loading but the on error function. So you can specify any kind of error messages or toast messages on any kind of error, but this is not the scope of our current application. Let's see whether we are able to see these mutations or not. To use this mutation constant, what I will do here, I will say after, okay, again there is an error that no query client use query. Okay, yeah, there is a very important step that is we should do in order to use the React query, which is to set the query client as a wrapper of our whole application. So as our app.jsx lies inside the main.jsx, so here I am going to do some changes. At the very top of this file, let's close the directory here. At the very top of this file here, I am going to write some imports. So I am saying import the query client provider and query client from the React query. Now we have to wrap our app.jsx. So here I am saying query client provider. Now to enable our client, here I am saying const query client is equal to new query client. Like this, we have to pass this query client as a parameter over here. By the way, this setup is going to be same for all of your React applications, so you can just remember this method, or you can easily find this in the documentation of the 10 stack. Let's save this. Yeah, our application is again ready because we have made the query client provider and query client. Now inside the app.jsx, in order to use this mutation, we have to call this. So after setting the messages, I will say mutation dot mutate like this. Let's save this. Okay, here I am sending a message, hi chat GPT version 2.0. Hit the enter button. I should open the console now, and there is an object that I received, and this is saying request failed with the status code 404. So guys, I did some debugging and I found some potential errors in our code due to which we are not getting the response. First of all, the model name, we have misspelled it. There should be A, not the E. First, the biggest mistake is this one. Now the second mistake is very small, that here instead of value, the key name is text. Now if I save this and I am opening the terminal, here means the console, and I am sending another message, how are you chat GPT. Let's hit the enter button, and here it is giving me a reply in the message, I am doing well, thank you for asking. Yeah, a very good response for asking how are you. So our backend is working fine now. Now we have to consider our app.jsx. Okay, So instead of just making a console log here, we should do something to add this data in our chat array so that our chat body should be updated. So for doing this, what I'll say, our set chat should be now. Okay, first of all, it should take the previous value as the parameter, and then in the array set the previous value as well, and add a new object where the sender is going to be the AI and message is going to be the data dot message. Okay, now here I have applied some JSX because sometimes the ChatGPT provides a response, not the ChatGPT, but the OpenAI provides a response where there are a lot of empty spaces in the start of message. So I should get rid of these things. So I am writing a very simple JSX here, that on the very start, which we can write this, then double backslash n. If there is a pattern which is following like this, then replace it with the empty string. Okay, I should open the word wrap on empty lines on the start of message, then replace those with the empty string. Let's save this, and now if there is a response, what are you doing now? Okay, here you can see there is a response. This is not a very good response from the AI. Let's refresh the page. And what is React.js? So here's the reply from the OpenAI. Of course, this is not in the perfect place. The overflow is not handled here. First of all, let's try to figure out why this is behaving like this. It is going out of div. So go to chat body, and here we have to work with the class names. Again, the very first thing, here I have made a typo. It should be white space pre-wrap. If I make this correct, here you can see now everything is inside the div. So this is a very easy solution for our bug. Now if I make another message, can you give me a code which should be very simple? Okay, here remember this, that I am not specifying that you should give me the code about React, but I'm just asking, can you give me a code which should be very simple, and it should pick up that I am asking about React.js. Now if I send this message here, and let's hope, okay, here you can see this is giving me code about the React.js, a very simple my component which is having a hello world message. How easily it is remembering the context of our messaging and providing us the correct results. Now it's time to add some kind of animations when the new messages are going to be added in our chat body. For doing this, here I am importing a very cool library. First of all, we have to install that library. So again, inside the client, I am installing a package npm I at the rate form kit auto animate. Hit the enter button, and it should be installed very quickly. Here it is installed. Now I am importing this package in our application. So close the terminal, and at the very top I have imported the auto animate from the auto animate library. Let's see how I am going to use this. First of all, here, okay, here after the AI style, I am going to make a ref which is saying parent, and for the parent I am saying the use ref should be null. Now on the use effect, you know that use effect is rendered at the very start of component. So means when your component is rendered, the first thing that is going to be happen is the code is going to run, which is declared inside the use effect. I am giving the dependency as parent, and here I will say parent dot current and auto animate this to parent dot current. Okay, it is giving me an error on auto animate again. Why this is doing so? Okay, so this is saying here I have written the 7. Okay, so everything is pretty much clear. Now I have to give this use ref. Okay, this is saying use ref is not defined, so auto imported from the React. Let's save this again. Now I have to give this ref to my parent component here. So our most parent div is ref, and yeah, this is equal to the parent. I think this is pretty much we have to do for making this animation. Let's try our messages. Let's now say what is current time in USA. And here you are seeing a very smooth animation and very smooth animation in response from the AI. Okay, and where do you live? So here I live in California, USA. Oh wow, it is telling lie. What do you know about biology? And in the response it will say me, okay, it is taking time, and I just came to know that the OpenAI is experiencing a lot of server load from too much users around the world, therefore it is slow. Okay, now we require when the OpenAI is thinking about the response, then the chat input should become disabled and there should be a GIF which should show the loading state. So to make this happen, I am going to app.jsx here, and for the chat input here I am passing a prop loading, and for the loading we can track our loading state by writing mutation dot is loading. Okay, we have to receive this in the chat input. Okay, yeah, here inside the chat input along with the send message there is the loading state, and I can render all of these things in a logic. So here in the logic I am saying if there is loading, then instead of showing all the text area and all these things, we should see an image, okay, like this, and image source is going to be the loader dot gif. The width, no, I am not specifying any width. I will specify the class name that width should be 8 here with the margin auto, so it should be in the center. I should make the text bigger like this. Okay, now it is giving me error because there should be a parent component, so I am making an empty node here. The closing tag should lie after this image. Let's format the code again here, save this, and the app.jsx is already saved. Now I am writing another message which is saying what do you know about, let's say, fat arrow functions in JS. Okay, and I again made a typo in JS, so sorry, I forgot to have a look at the text area. I am making another input. What is your name? Here you can see our chat input is showing a loading indicator. If I make the screen bigger so you can see it more clearly, no, you are telling lie. And here you can see this is the loading indicator, and then we are getting our response. So this functionality is done now, but there is one thing that is irritating me too much, that whenever a new response is coming from the OpenAI, then the chat body is not scrolling to the bottom of the our application automatically. We have to go to the bottom of application with this scroll bar, like said, no, you are. Okay, so here you can see when the response come, we have to go down by the scroller, and then we are able to show the response. Then we are able to see the response. To fix this again, I have a solution for you inside the chat body.jsx, where we are mapping through all the messages. Okay, so here we are mapping through all the messages, and at the end here let's make the text bigger. I am making a div, and for the div I am giving a ref of, let's say, the bottom ref, and the class name is height 3. Okay, so height 3 is basically 0.75 rem. Now I should make this ref where I have made the parent ref, so there should be bottom ref which is use ref, and at the start should be null. Now I am going to make another use effect. For this use effect I am saying only for auto animations, so it is handling only the animations logic. And the second use effect for scrolling bottom, And for this one, here is the use effect. I am saying bottom ref dot current scroll into view, and then the behavior should be smooth. Yeah, like this. And I am adding the dependency as chat array. So whenever there is a change in our chat, this use effect hook will make our chat body up to the bottom of the screen. So let's try again. If I ask a question, there are how many planets in universe? Here you can see it is automatically scrolling up to the bottom of our body, and this is very nice to see. This is a kind of automatic effect. Okay, the other irritating thing in our application is the scroll bar. The scroll bar is really not good to see. We have to change the UI of our scroll bar. So to customize the scroll bar, I am using a very famous NPM package which is the Tailwind scroll bar. And here you can see there are many number of downloads and they are increasing day by day. So to install this, I just have to copy this command from here, go to my code again, open the terminal, and just paste this command like this, hit the enter button. Okay, so it is installed now. There are some configuration to use this. So again, I go to its documentation here, and here it is saying we have to copy and paste this line into our plugins, which resides inside the Tailwind config. So inside the Tailwind config, here inside the plugins, I am pasting this line. Let's save this. Now I have to customize my scroll bar in app.jsx. As you know that our chat body resides inside this div, so I should modify this wrapping div of chat body to make the styling of scroll bar. So let's see what I can do with this library. I can say scroll bar color should be first. So scroll bar thumb color should be slate 400, and then also scroll bar variant should be thin, which comes with the dependency, and then scroll bar track color. So scroll bar track should have a gray color with the, let's say, transparent property. Okay, the next thing is the border radius of scroll bar. So scroll bar, yeah, border should be MD. Okay, let's format the code. I should remove this extra line from here. Let's save this and see what happens in our output in the chat GPT. I am making some random chat, let's say. Okay, so yeah, here you can see our scroll bar is completely customized now, and there is an issue with its border radius. So let's say what is the issue. Scroll bar, oh, there should not be the border, there should be the rounded. Let's save this again, and here the border of scroll bar is rounded, which we exactly want. So our ChatGPT 2.0 is ready to deploy on the internet, and we are going to deploy it as a full stack application on the Vercel for absolutely free. Let's see how we can do this. So here I am on the Vercel.com. You should first make an account here, and you can easily connect your GitHub account with this Vercel. And this is too much obvious, so I am skipping the steps of connecting your GitHub account and making a new account on the Vercel. By the way, this is my dashboard, and these are my previous website that I shared on the YouTube. So some of them I also made deployed on the Vercel. Now let's deploy our current project. I am starting from the backend first. So here in my repository, I am closing all these files. And what I'm going to do, I will deploy the client side and the service side separately. Okay, so there should be two deployments on my Vercel, one for the server and second for the client. So what I am doing here, I am making a reveal in file explorer. So yeah, here, and I am closing this instance. So I am closing this instance. I am going to the server and open with code. So yeah, now I am separately in a server repository. I have to make a new file in this repository with the name Vercel. I assume JSON. Let me confirm again. Is it Vercel.json or something else? Okay, yeah. So this is the Vercel.json. We have to make this file so that Vercel can recognize this is a server function. Okay. because mostly they expect that we are going to deploy our React application with the app.jsx or all these setups, but this repository is different. We have to make a continuous calls to index.js. You can say it as server function. So therefore we have to define some properties so they can recognize that. The first one is the version. So version 2, and you can give any name to your server. So let's say I am saying Node.js. Now the third one property is builds. So in the builds there is an array. In the array you can specify these properties, like source is index.js, because in the index.js we have defined our all the logic and routes. Okay, then there is routes. So for the routes, again we have to define a object here. So I am just pasting it like this, and this is the total setup. Let's save this. Now I am going to my GitHub, and here initialize a repository. I am giving it name as initial. Okay, here's the problem that it is saying there are 858 files to be pushed to GitHub, and this is happening because we have not made any git ignore. So here I am making a new file with the name .git ignore. Okay, from where we can get this git ignore? Again, if I go to my file explorer, let's go back in the client side. Here I have git ignore, so just copy this and paste it inside this server. Yeah, replace the file in destination. Now I have a git ignore here, and here you can see now we have only 6 files to push the GitHub. So to push to the GitHub, let's make all the changes, make a commit here, and publish it as a master branch. And I am giving it a name of server ChatGPT, and I also want to declare it as YouTube. And for now I am making the repository as private. So let's hit the enter button. So code is pushed now. Now I am going to my browser again. In my Vercel dashboard, here I am saying add new and add a new project. As my GitHub is already connected with Vercel, so it is scanning all the repository, and here it is saying that 58 seconds ago I have deployed this repository to GitHub. Yeah, I want to import this one, and it is already recognizing it as an other preset of framework. So yeah, this is good. Root directory, yeah, that is a root directory. And in the build and output settings, okay, you don't have to change this setting. Yeah, in the environment variable we have to include the API key. So here I am giving the API key. Basically it is the configuration of our .env file. So I am copying this from my .env. Just copy this value of our API key, paste it here like this, and add. Yeah, you can hit the deploy button now. So our deployment is started now. It is starting from this step, building, and there is no error in the serverless region. Yeah, okay, so very quickly our server side is deployed now. Here you can see if I visit this website, it is saying hello world. This is not actually a website, this is a URL to connect our all the API calls. So I am copying this, and in my front end, let me close my backend side here, go to the explorer. Now I am opening the client side as a separate repository. Here if I go to my api.js here, instead of making calls to port 3080, I am pasting the URL of our newly deployed backend. Okay, just save this, and now I have to initialize a new repository for the front end also, make all the changes, and here I am again seeing it as initial. Let's commit this, publish branch, and here I am saying ChatGPT YouTube. Yeah, publish it as a private repository. This code is now pushed to the GitHub. Again I am going to my Vercel here. Okay, on my dashboard, this is my backend. Now I am making a new project here. This is my just now client ChatGPT YouTube. Import this, and it is automatically detecting that we are using Vite framework, and all the other things are good now. There is nothing to write in environment variables, so we can just simply press the deploy button and let's see what will happen. Okay, the deployment process started. You should check the logs of your building because it gives you a trace of how the production is going. Okay, so congratulations, you just deployed a new project to Vercel. Let's wait for a second. Go to this website which is deployed to internet. By the way, congratulations, and let's try our first message on the real website. So okay, how to make a viral React tutorial on YouTube. Let's see. And finally, there is a response from our server side. How cool is this? Now our full stack application is deployed to the internet for absolutely free. There is nothing to pay like you have to do on the Heroku or many other platforms. This is a very simple way to deploy your full stack applications on the Vercel. Let's try anything else. Where do you think the Bitcoin will go in next 3 years? Okay, let's wait for it. And here is the reply. So how amazing this build was. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial a lot and you learned a lot of new concepts. I'm sure that you learned a lot of things in this tutorial. So if you want to keep watching my tutorial, do support the channel. Hit the like button and subscribe the channel right now. You can also support me via the Patreon. I am also available at the Buy Me a Coffee. So try to support the channel as much as you can. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye.